everyone. Mr. Devil here, Kenny Danisco, three-time Stanley Cup champion of the New Jersey Devils. And you're listening to the Uncle Puckers New Jersey Devils podcast with Chris, Dan, Bobby, and Tony, the Uncle Puckers. Let's go, Devils!
Hey, everybody. Thank you guys so much for checking us out. We are the funnest New Jersey Devil podcast in the world. We're the Uncle Puckers. Bobby is still out in Colorado, so we are myself, Chris, Dan, and Tony tonight. So, what's up, boys? How's everybody doing?
Pretty good. What's going on?
Just fucking hot. Just waiting to cool down.
It has been murder. I mean, I guess a few points during the summer. You expect this weather, so we can't complain. It's the end of July, but man, is it hot.
Yeah, it is.
I'm ready for it to break. I think maybe after some storms tonight, it might break a little bit.
Yeah, it's supposed to. We should be getting some thunderstorms rolling through. Tomorrow's supposed to be like 20, 25 degrees, even cooler, so it should be.
That'll be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it should be. I think I saw like 78, 79 tomorrow. It was like almost 100 today, so.
Wasn't this like the hottest month on the planet ever?
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, it seems kind of disturbing. Like it was like not. It was like the hottest like week or something, right? Like
that.
In
yes.
History.
The most
all time. Like what? How does that work?
The most disturbing thing that I've heard lately is the water temperature in Florida. It's over 100 degrees in the Atlantic Ocean down there.
I've heard something even more disturbing from Florida. There was a news story, and Tony, I know you're our newsman, and Florida news especially, but you might have had this on your radar, maybe not. A 38-year-old manatee is now passed away after being raped to death by his brother. So that's what happens down there in the aquariums in Florida.
So he was raped by another manatee to death?
Yeah, and I guess they know because they're like in some kind of aquarium that it happened to be his brother. They did an autopsy. There was they said a 14-centimeter, which I don't know. How many inches is that? I don't know.
14 centimeters isn't that like, what is it, 10 centimeters to an inch, right?
I don't know about that. I thought it was 2.5. So whatever it is, it was like a few inches or more gash in his colon.
2.54 centimeters in an inch.
Okay.
So 2.5 centimeters.
Yeah, but I mean, his bro poked a hole in his colon.
Oh my
basically
goodness!
What it came down to, and he died of sepsis. 38-year-old manatee.
What was his
name? I immediately saw that.
Yeah, you have a name.
You know, I don't know. I'm sure he had a name because he was, but I didn't see that in the article. But I immediately sent it to both my brothers, and I said, I might not have been the best brother in the world, but I'm definitely not the worst. And
it's yes, the manatee dies of injuries from sexual encounter with his brother at Florida Aquarium. Wow, only in fucking Florida, right?
Florida.
Yeah, I was like,
a manatee who died in a
Florida
aquarium this year sustained fatal injuries caused by sex with his brother. Hugh, his name was Hugh. 38. Died unexpectedly April 29th at the Mott Marine Laboratory and Aquarium in Sarasota, which this week,
this was some time ago. I mean, why is it in the news now? They just got the autopsy results back, maybe?
Well, I think so, because it says this week shed more light on the animal's passing, saying the injury was most likely the result of sex with his brother, Buffett.
What?
Yes. Cheeseburger in paradise.
Yeah, seriously. Jimmy Buffett.
Could you imagine floating around? You're just floating around, and then you'll open your eyes, and your fucking brother is just standing over you, like.
Now,
and that's how you go.
On the day of Hugh's passing, Hugh and Buffett were engaged in natural yet increased mating behavior observed and documented in manatees, both in managed care and in the wild. This was the first time such heightened mating behavior was witnessed between the two manatees. A necropsy performed by, is that like an autopsy for an animal?
Let's call it an autopsy. I think that's
performed by the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission's Marine Mammal Pathobiological Lab found that the fatal wound was exactly like you said, 14.5 centimeter long tear in the ventral wall of his colon. Whoops. And there's a picture of Hugh. He was a little cutie, never asking for just a little love. Cute. Just not 14.5 centimeters of love. Poor little guy. So in an effort to redirect the manatee's attention and decrease undesirable behaviors, animal care staff used positive reinforcement tools such as high-value rewards and enrichment that has previously been successful, but it wasn't for Hugh.
Did they give them ecstasy or something? Why were these manatees so, amorous? What's going on there?
And there's some horny animals.
Did they ever think about introducing another manatee, like a female?
Well, it says that sex between male manatees, even brothers, is far from uncommon.
Okay.
They're not too
I'm not going to judge.
They're not too meticulous about who their partners are, like Tony. They just have this kind of a sexual urge, and then they'll engage in activity with whomever seems to be in the area. If that's a female,
Really?
great.
That's Florida for you, you know?
But
That's like the motto, I think.
Right. This one's
Love the
name
one
was
you're with.
DeSantis. But if there are not enough females around, or there are only males around, they may express the sexual behavior in whatever individual may be in the vicinity. So,
watch out.
So this has Florida lawmakers probably up in arms, right? Like this is gay murder, basically. Like I'm sure they're going to be passing a law soon against male on male manatee sex.
I'm going to bet it's Disney's fault.
And they're going to come out with the law saying that, the manatees in captivity, it wasn't as bad as you might think. They did get some life skills out of being in an aquarium their whole life.
There was an upside.
There is an upside.
Do you guys remember the guy? He was having sex with a dolphin.
Well, I thought it was a woman.
A zoophile, I think they called him, or something like. But this guy, Michael Brenner, was having sex with a dolphin for like a year, and he said the dolphin seduced him, and he wrote a book about this, I believe. It was on the news last year. I mean,
dolphin seduced him?
Fuck, yeah.
Should have seen the way she was looking at me, that dolphin.
Night of Flipper films.
Wow,
Flipper.
Just Lolita of
dolphin
porpoises.
porn.
Start out this with zoophile, or zoophile, whatever they call it.
What's the biggest dolphin in the world? Come on, Tone.
The Miami Dolphins? I don't know.
Well, that's a good guess, but no, an actual dolphin. Dan?
I was going to say, like, maybe some linebacker from the Dolphins. I don't know. Maybe. Here's the truth. I can only think of one dolphin. It's called a dolphin. I didn't even know there's different kinds of dolphins.
Killer whale is a dolphin.
Okay, so we're considering a killer whale a dolphin.
Well, it is.
That makes sense. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
I thought a dolphin was a dolphin.
I got a question for you.
You know what I'm saying? Like
yes.
this typical dolphin.
I know, like they're all part of the dolphin family. Porpoises, dolphins. Like there's tons.
What
of
about whales?
Because
people call it a killer whale.
I
is
think
it not
that
a whale. It's
orca
more of a dolphin than a whale?
Is just the only. I don't know. I think an orca is the only whale that is a dolphin. So
you mean it's really a dolphin?
That's what
I mean. Or you mean it's both a whale and a dolphin at the same time?
I believe so. Unless a killer whale is just a dolphin.
I don't know. I mean, it's just a really big black and white dolphin is what you're saying.
There's 42 species of dolphins and 7 species of porpoises.
I would have guessed there's one porpoise, one dolphin, and that's it. I had no idea.
The orca is the largest dolphin. Hector's dolphin, and I guess some guy Hector has a dolphin, and
That's nice. I mean,
Franciscana are 2 of the smallest. So
are these like just one-offs? There's just some guy Hector with one dolphin.
I think that's actually the name of the dolphin, Hector's dolphin.
There's more than one of them, though, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think they're probably at least 2.
I was afraid Hector just had like one dolphin, and somehow it gets categorized this way.
I got a
Chris,
question.
have you guys had any problems with sharks all over there? Like over in your area? Like I know this year was really rough. I think it's the weather, definitely, but sharks up the ass in Florida, man, and like I'm seeing these videos daily on like some of the Florida news stations, and it's like over the water, people are swimming, they don't even realize, and they're just getting passed up by sharks left and right now. It's pretty crazy.
It has not been that bad, but I do remember like there was a great white in the area like a month or two ago. It was in the news. I forget who it was. They even had a name because they know like it's got tag and stuff, and
right,
and they can track it. But I haven't heard anything since that, and I don't think it had any human encounters. And closest thing I could think of, well, Chris and I actually saw a ray.
I saw a ray down there, in the ocean a couple of weeks ago.
I had some Irwin flashbacks. I was a little nervous. I'm like, not going to get me the way you got Steve Irwin.
Dan was like, I'm going to get this ray, and he jumped in the water. He's like, I'll wrestle it down, and in the barb, luckily he got away with it. Yeah. But yeah, he caught the ray. I have a question for you guys.
Yes.
Think about this. In a NFL game,
right,
a 60-minute NFL game, how long in actual time do you think the football itself is in play? Okay?
Like in play, like not necessarily motion, but can be, somebody can tackle, somebody's holding it. It's in play.
In play. So whether
Yeah, I
it's,
gotcha.
Snap, thrown, run, whatever, because a lot of that
Right.
time is, setting up and this and that and getting to the line of scrimmage and getting your playing. But how long in these 60 minutes of football do you think the ball is actually in play?
Now, you mean wait, say that again, Tom?
73 minutes.
It's a
60
60-minute
minutes.
game, ding dong.
Said 73.
It's a 60-minute
Oh,
game.
yeah. I'm out of this game. Go ahead, Dan.
I don't know. It's going to be less than 60.
It's going to be less than 73. I'll
But
tell
no,
you that.
I have a question though. I think you mean of 60 minutes of watching a football game?
Well, a football game time, yes, it takes 3 hours, but the time is only 60 minutes of play in the game.
Oh, okay. During that play, how long is the ball in play?
Actually in play.
Well, geez, at first I would think all 60 minutes, but apparently that can't possibly be
Well,
the
you think
answer.
about
You
it,
wouldn't
if
bring it
you-
up if it was.
If you run a play, right, and you get
Yeah.
2 or 3 yards, and then they have,
Yes.
45 seconds to get to the line, get the call
the
in.
time
and then,
where it runs off the clock.
Right.
Between
So-
plays. All that time between plays. What is the remainder after all that time
right,
between plays?
that the
is?
ball is actually in play.
Damn. There's a running clock, but the ball's also in play. Yeah. That's tough, man. I would say maybe 20 minutes.
On average, it's less than 10 minutes a game.
Get the fuck out. That's crazy.
Isn't that crazy?
The ball's only in play for 10 minutes out of a 60-minute football game.
Yep.
And that means even stretched over 3 hours of commercials. We're not talking about commercials.
No.
We're talking about when that clock is running, really, the ball's not in play 50 of 60 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
And if
insane.
you just made a tape of any football game and just snap to whenever the play ends, and you'd put them all together, both offenses, both teams, you would have
Right.
about 10 minutes of actual footage.
Let's just watch that, because I think the game's too long.
Well,
All
that's
those
how they
commercials.
do. They do film and everything. They do all that. And when you sit down for tape, it's that's all you just get play. So they cut it down to 20 minutes of film to watch one game, which is pretty cool. But so yeah, I thought that was
that's shockingly
crazy.
little.
That's
You compare that with hockey, and it's a different sport entirely.
What is this?
Yeah, I'm ready for. I got to admit, I'm ready for some football though. I've been waiting for. Wait for hockey's been crazy. I mean, it's
Tony, you're in Europe. Do you follow any of the American football in Europe League? I was watching a little bit of that on ESPN on a treadmill the other day, and it was like, where are they playing? Germany, whatever it is. I don't know. Do they have any leagues near you?
No, I don't follow any of it. No, there's not. It's not a big thing here.
Yeah. If the place, to be honest, looked kind of empty. It was small and empty. It's not going to have the draw of like soccer. That's for sure.
I
The
cannot
biggest
wait.
thing here is basketball.
Yeah, basketball's big over there. I cannot wait for
Sure.
football season. All training camps are full bore now. Everybody's there. I cannot wait until a week from. Well, I guess Thursday night is the first game. Is the first preseason game, and that'll be the Jets against the Browns in the Hall of Fame game. And then I think that following weekend next weekend we start getting some preseason games, and then before we know it, it'll be Thursday night, Kansas City, Detroit.
So,
man, I'm kind of excited, but I really think it's going to be a rough season. And I think the way that I'm a Raider fan, I think the way they're built is either it's going to fall totally apart, or they're going to surprise some people. But it's going to go one way or the other. It's going to be a total circus there. They've talked already. You hear some of these Devontae Adams rumors, which is total bullshit. Devontae Adams came out today and said it's totally. They're talking about him going to the Jets. I mean, it's just been a stressful offseason. And Jacobs, I guess he got offered $12 million a year, man. And to be honest, I mean, I don't know. Is that an unfair amount of money? I mean,
Was that true? Because I didn't hear that he was offered $12 million.
yeah, I heard it's true, but I mean, like I said, I can't 100% confirm that. But I've heard it from several different places, and to me, that's a decent amount of money.
Well, I mean, the franchise, most running backs are not going to make that. If they're offered you that kind of money, then Jacob should take it. I mean, the Raiders they got to get him on the field. You're just not going to be the same team with them. I think the Raiders are going to be. The problem with the Raiders is their division. Seriously, I mean, maybe
San Diego's tough. I mean,
maybe they can jockey for third place in that division. With Denver, I mean, Sean Payton is proving that he's still a complete and total scumbag. Did you hear what he did?
No.
I heard he ran his mouth about his players,
I
right?
did hear about this. Yes, I heard about this morning, but I didn't really read it.
So I've
What
always
happened
hated.
with
I've always hated Sean Payton. When he was coaching the Saints, and then Bountygate 2009 against the Vikings in the NFC Championship game, all that shit. So I never liked him. I think he's a piece of shit. He's a good coach, but I just think he's a jerk off. So, last year the Broncos had a really bad year. They traded away their entire future for Russell Wilson. They paid the guy a ridiculous amount of money, and he just didn't perform. I think Russell Wilson's done, but whatever. So they were asking him about Russell Wilson, and Peyton comes out, and now the old coach of the Broncos is now Aaron Rodgers' offensive coordinator in New York.
New York.
That's Nathaniel. Is it Nathaniel Hackett? I'm trying to think. Yeah, Nathaniel Hackett. So they asked him about Russell Wilson this year and stuff, and he just basically comes out saying the coaching staff here last year talking about Hackett and his squad, worst coaching staff ever in the history of football, that these guys basically just ran them all down, like viciously, like he was being a fucking asshole.
Like two reporters too, right?
Yeah, two reporters.
It wasn't just like this was like a hot mic. He was overheard talking to another guy. He said this directly, knowingly to reporters
on purpose. Yes.
Wow.
He apologized today, right, Chris?
What?
I think he apologized today for that.
Yeah, I think so, but he's just an asshole. I don't like him, and I hope in week 4 or 5, whenever the Jets play him, I hope they just go up there and kick the shit out of him. We got to go up there this year, Minnesota. But I think the Raiders' problem is going to be their division. I just think Kansas City and the Chargers are going to be too much. The AFC in general. I mean, you're going to have a lot of good teams in the AFC that are not going to make the playoffs this year. I'm going to give you my dark horse pick. Watch out for the Cleveland Browns. I'm telling you, they're going to be good.
I would not be surprised. Yeah. I think I just kind of discredit them and meant like in my brain sometimes because it's like even when you get the hype, they seem to not pull through. So,
well, look at Denver last year. They had all the hype, and they were dog shit. This year, all the hype is with the Detroit Lions. I'm not going to be sold on Detroit until they actually fucking do something. So, that'll be interesting to see. But people are tuning in here to listen to some hockey talk. So, Tone, I think you got a poll or something you want to talk about?
I was just
poll you wanted to stroke?
Yes. There was actually something I was reading which had one of our Devils on it, so I thought it was kind of interesting, actually. And I'm going to read it. I'm going to start from 1 till the end. I'm actually going to start backwards because our guy is a little bit deeper into the poll. But it was actually ranking the top 10 overrated players in the NHL.
Top 10 overrated players in the NHL.
Overrated players, yeah.
Okay.
Now,
Daily Dose Hockey, I believe
now,
from.
Just we do have Bobby, when he comes back, he will be giving us his 5 most underrated Devils that are on this team right now. So that'll be a fun little thing that we're going to do.
This will pave the way for that. So we're talking about not just the Devils, around the NHL, the 10 most overrated.
Okay.
All right.
So
I
you're
got
starting
some of
at
my
number
favorites.
1. So this player is the most overrated?
Yes.
Wait, hang on. Let's try. Can we think about this for a second?
Yeah,
Let's think about
definitely.
this. The most overrated player in the NHL. Ooh, there's a lot of overrated players in the NHL. I think the Trinket is very overrated. I think
Chris is not going to agree with this one, so I'll let you know, Chris. I think that you're going to be like, "What the fuck?" So this is going to be like that for you, the monkey.
Mark Stone?
I'm wondering what
on at number 1.
It's not Mark Stone.
No.
Oh, okay. Because I'm a big
I
Stone.
think they're going to attack a couple superstars who haven't done it yet. That's what I feel like this is going.
But even you can't put Connor McDavid on this list or Leon Draisaitl.
No, even Austin Matthews. Can you put him on that list?
Overrated? No. He could. Just
he hasn't done it, but I wouldn't put him there.
32 teams would take him in a heartbeat.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
Okay. So who's the number 1?
Omar.
Wow, okay.
Okay, now, this is interesting, and this is part of the reason why...
40 wins, but it's the Boston. They did have that crazy run, right? Overall, 116 wins in his career, 63 losses.
Speaking in your microphone, Tony.
I got a new mic, Dan, by the way. I hope it's actually working. But
it goes in and out, to be
yeah,
honest with you.
You gotta actually
it's going
talk
in and out a
into
little
it,
bit.
So, that's their number. That would be number 1 on the list.
Now, Linus Ullmark, up until last year, has been decent, but has not been at all Vezina caliber. And of course, this year he was. Now, part of the reason, because there was talk about both of those Boston goalies possibly being up for grabs, and that's why I've been leaning towards Swayman. I actually think Swayman is the better goalie than Linus Ullmark. So I kind of get that, but it's hard to say that a guy is overrated when he just won the Vezina. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I mean, look, in the
he deserved it, is what I'm saying. Like,
right, and when the playoff collapse is always going to make a goalie look bad, you know? Yeah. We understand that even with the Devils. We're questioning our goaltender because we did not advance past the second round. And, you know, for Boston, when you don't advance past the first round, with all that firepower, this and that, the goalie's going to take some of that blame. If you're going to say, hey, this guy is winning Vezinas, or, you know, getting all these votes for Vezinas even, and, you know, led his team to a first-round exit, he's going to come off as a little overrated. I get that. You know, I would caution people to read too far into that. I mean, I get it.
But number one? Okay, all right. Who's the number two?
Number one means the most overrated, Tony?
Yeah.
The overmost, it's the most.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
And next is a defenseman from Edmonton, Evan Bouchard, who had 8 goals last year, 32 assists, but he was on there. He was list number 2.
Is he overrated, though?
This is what it says. This is what that poll was.
We had a defenseman that was way more overrated than him.
Yeah. I would think Severson should be on
this. We no longer do. Yeah, Severson would be.
Maybe he's the Devil.
My most overrated.
Oh, he's not? Okay. Well, when you get to the Devil one, we're going to guess it. So don't give it to us right away. So number 3?
Number 3 is going to be Kuznetsov from the Capitals.
Okay, so he had a rougher year, right? He was a little quieter. The Caps had a rougher year.
Yeah, he had 55 points last season, but he is on that. And the next one is going to be a Ranger. Panarin.
I was going to say him.
Yeah.
Wow, you know, Panarin was so non-factor in the playoffs. I get that. Because he's so crazy talented, and at points during the regular season, what a scary weapon he was for the Rangers, but boy, did he get quiet in the playoffs. And he did nothing against the Devils.
It's kind of been his MO his whole career, is that he does disappear in the playoffs. But last year, what did he have? No, he had no goals in the playoffs last season.
No, I don't think he had any goals. I'd be surprised if he had more than a couple shots. He was so inconsequential.
You could put most of the Rangers' top 6 on this overrated list from last year. I mean, you can throw Patty Kane on there. You can, if you're talking about especially playoff performance. But you know, Panarin, I can see he's a high-profile dude. He plays in the biggest city, the biggest market in America. Other than
and he's in his prime too, right? So it's time to shine. If he's ever going to do it, it should be now.
He's over 30 now, right?
Yeah, it's been a while now. He's been there, I guess.
Panarin,
he's 31 now.
So I mean, he still can play for another 4 or 5 years at a high.
Right, but he probably should have been through his prime by now.
Should have
had about it. 92 points last year too. I mean, he did have a decent regular season. It was obviously with 92, but he is on the list at number 4. Number 5 is a St. Louis Blue, Colton Parayko.
Okay.
4 goals last year, 23 assists, 27 points. But I think he's 30 years old now also, but he's on the list at number 5.
Now, was he like a high draft pick? I don't really remember him too much. We don't see the Blues that often.
Yeah, we don't see the Blues too often.
Now, if I was going to put a Blue on there, I would absolutely put Binnington on there. I think that he is extremely overrated. And
I saw him in a poll on it, like a goalie-specific page, that as the goalie most likely to lose his mind and like go after the ref a la Cujo.
Yeah.
They're showing a little clip. And, everybody's just voting Binnington. He's got the hottest head in the NHL, that's for sure. He wins that one.
When the head coach, when Berube has to come out and basically tell you, just shut the fuck up and stop the puck. Like, that's it. Like, you don't have to go fighting everybody. He's going to other players' benches and he's jawing at them and this and that. Like, and if you look at Binnington's numbers since they've won the cup,
right?
What?
Yeah. That's the thing. We look at his numbers. You kind of got to be quiet back there for a while when you're putting up numbers like that.
Since he won the cup, those numbers have gone down every single year, and I think that they signed him to a big money deal, and they still got a few years on him. I think Binnington is extremely overrated, but Who's number 6?
Yep.
Number 6 is a guy named Nick Suzuki, who's kind of like a Bergeron kind of player. He had 26 goals last year, 40 assists for 66 points. Canadian.
Now
he's on the.
Now Nick Suzuki, I don't know. It's tough to put him on this list only because the Canadians have not been good.
Well, who has looked good on that team?
Right. I mean, I do expect a lot from Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and those guys in the next couple of years.
Even this year, I think they look much better this year, going into this year, than last year.
I think they're going to be better. I just don't think that they're going to be able to get at it. I mean, the Atlantic is tough, and I do think that there's
I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. I don't see that.
I think there's going to be big shifts in that division, especially in the Atlantic. I do see a world where the Boston Bruins don't make the playoffs, and a team like Buffalo does. I do think that the Sabres are going to go. I think Ottawa is going to make the playoffs this year. And so if I had to take right now 2 teams out and 2 teams that are going to be in the Eastern Conference, I would say the Islanders and the Bruins might drop out. And I would maybe move Ottawa and Buffalo in, which I think would be awesome to have those 2 good teams in the playoffs next year.
If Montreal overperforms, they could be in the running for that as well. At least maybe fighting with the 2, that might not make it, who have made it last year, like, Boston and who else were we saying?
I said the Islanders.
Yeah, that's a good one. They're likely to drop out, or it's very possible they could drop out of the playoff contention this year.
I like Montreal. I always did. I think they're. We went up there. They were super awesome. We talked about that and all, but like, they got to do something, right? The Canadians, like, this is like a team that hasn't done shit in 30 years, and they still just go around puffing their chest up that they're the greatest hockey club in the history of the NHL. And it's kind of like,
it is a shame.
You really haven't done
tough.
anything in 30 fucking years.
I will tell you, if there's one Canadian team I wouldn't mind seeing, come back to life and win a cup, it would be them. The rest of them, I could care less if they ever win another cup.
If I had to pick a Canadian team to win the cup, I would go with Vancouver.
I mean, I don't mind Vancouver doing well. It doesn't really bother me compared to maybe Toronto, but and I'm not even saying this is the most likely, right? Because the most likely is probably Toronto.
Probably.
But at least on paper, if you take the curse out of the picture. But Montreal, I feel for them. I wish they had a better thing going there. I don't know what works against them so much. I don't know if it's because I don't think it's the same media problem that Toronto has, where they're constantly going, got to go get the Stars today.
No, I don't
seem to do that.
I don't think they're run that way.
I really don't know what their problem is, why they can't build a team. I know a lot of Canadian teams in general complain about the tax situation, and a lot of players don't want to play because of the tax situation.
They do have a good young core. We talked about Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield and stuff, and I think Marty St. Louis did a good job with those guys last year. So they're going to be fun to watch this year. I think we open up against them, don't we? Or we play them relatively early.
I gotta check.
I wouldn't. I kind of always never hated Ottawa. Even when I was younger, you had Yashin. When they had some
Alfredson.
Alfredson, and obviously the Dag thing didn't work out, or Reg Bonk. But I was definitely, I definitely like Kachuk actually on that team, and I know they signed Tarasenko, right?
Yeah, they just signed Tarasenko.
Another 1-year deal yesterday, last night. I know that
they're going to get better, definitely.
But I don't mind Ottawa.
And they got Korpisalo and net.
Oh.
I think that they could be a really good squad this year.
It's just like, as a city, Ottawa is like a lamer version than Washington. It's their capital city. And nothing really awesome happens there. It's like government only. And as a logo, I don't like that logo.
I know. You don't.
Yeah, we went over this.
You want one that has Elizabeth Warren on the crest. That's the.
I mean, logo. I don't know. I don't know if I'd go with that one, but like the Roman senator thing, it's like, come on, you're Canada.
Yeah.
Is that the best you can do? Like, what does that have to do with you? Like, absolutely nothing, I
remember that first or second year they were in the league. I think they had Sidorkiewicz in net, and the guy played like 90% of the games. They were all losses. It was just real. I think they only won, I don't know, maybe like 10 or 11 games. I could be totally off, but it was a lot of games they lost. And then they had Ron Tugnut. They went through some rough years when they came back into the NHL, Tugnut. Yeah, I mean, I don't hate Ottawa. They've given us problems. I mean, but... you know.
All right, who else is on this list?
Next on
Tell
the
us
list
the team
is-
first.
Well, this guy is a guy that we've been linked to recently. And I'll first start. Last year he had 14 wins and 31 losses, and he's an Anaheim Duck. It would be Gibson.
Yeah.
John Gibson is on the list.
I'm not
30
interested in John Gibson. And yes, he is overrated. I will say agree with that.
He's on the list.
Don't like Gibson. Who else you
The
got?
next guy, I'm a big fan. In general, as a person, I think you guys are going to probably feel the same way with this next guy, but he's another goaltender. He's 38 years old now. He's been in the league for 19 years. He's won 3 cups, won a Vezina.
Jonathan Quick.
Nope, Marc-Andre Fleury.
Oh, okay.
You know, and I got to say, I like everything about this guy. I've seen a lot of his off-ice stuff. He's just a likable dude. He kind of got the kind of fucked in Vegas. Some people felt like at the end of that whole thing. You know, last year he had 24 wins, 16 losses. But I've always liked Fleury, so it's hard for me to picture him on that list. But he is on the list.
You're muted, Dan.
That's what Dan thinks about that shit.
But you know what it was? Is like it started pouring over here, so I muted. I forgot I did that because it's like pouring like crazy right now.
It's not raining here.
It is by me.
Wow, it's weird. We're
It's
5
like
miles
to
away
the point
from
where
each
it's
other.
loud. Yeah, I know.
I hear
it's
it.
coming up fast. So, yeah, Fleury's just like I think he's the most fun goaltender of his type, of his age. You know, he kind of picked up where Brodeur left off. He loves to play, and he had like a little bit of Hasek in him. I mean, he had like this Gumby-like style. His whole frame is very like lanky and flexible, and he was just a fun goaltender to watch. Had some of the best glove saves of the 2010s and up, and he looks great. And, I know he's getting towards the end of his career, so throw him on an overrated list seems like a little shitty if you ask me. He's just probably in the last few years of his career, you know, and that's what it is. I don't think anybody's rating him as like, who's rating him as a Vezina winner?
But
Nobody's saying that.
You
right
got
now.
a guy who is a fucking first ballot Hall of Famer. You know, so overrated. He is a legit first ballot Hall of Famer. He's won cups. He's won Vezinas, and even now he was fine. Okay, you guys want to go into the playoffs with, you know, the Gus Bus and Gustafsson? I'm okay with that. I'll back him up in Minnesota, and he did. And he didn't fucking complain, and he didn't make a big deal about it, and he'll get decent starts. I think he'll probably have a decent year again this year. But no, he's not the same Marc-Andre Fleury was 10 years ago. But I gotta go with Dan on that. I think that's kind of bullshit to put him on an overrated list. I mean, the fucking dude, you know, what else can you say about him? He's going in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, it's. I didn't agree with that one either, but it's just like.
I mean, when we were like talking about Lundqvist, you know, like I kind of said, hey, he's overrated. And you guys were like, look, dude, he is a Hall of Famer. And you make a very good argument for this and that. But we can have that argument because he didn't win the big game.
Right.
What do you want from Fleury? He's
Right.
done it all.
Exactly.
He's done it all.
More than once.
3
Exactly.
rings. I mean, shit, you know.
Yeah.
Come on.
Now, how many goalies in the NHL right now have 3 Stanley Cup rings? Jonathan Quick, Marc-Andre Fleury. I can't think of another one.
Either can I.
Vasilevsky?
2.
No, 2.
Right? Javi Bullen got the other one.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So, yeah, amazing. You cannot put him on an overrated list.
No,
This is just
that's bullshit.
no good.
All right, who else is on this list?
The next one is one of our own.
Okay, so
It
this is a devil.
Yes.
And
Oof.
You want me to tell you how many years he's been with the team? Or that might give it away, actually.
well, let's think for a second.
Okay, I will just say
I think I
that we
know who
already
it is.
established it's not Severson, but he was by far our most overrated player in my mind. So, you know.
I think
don't
I know who it is.
What do you think?
Chris.
Well, I'm just going by like this list so far and where my kind of head is. I can see them possibly putting Dougie Hamilton or Nico Hischier on this list.
No.
I'm wrong. Okay, that's good.
Neither of those two.
Okay.
They do like goaltenders on this list. I mean,
Could it be Vanacek?
I think he
Not
flies under everybody's
No,
radar,
it's
though.
not
Like
Vanacek.
national media, nobody thinks about Vanacek. They just know the Devils need more goaltenders.
All
They
right,
don't really think
Tone,
about it.
is it an offenseman or a defenseman?
Offensive.
Jesper
Had-
Bratt.
I'll say yes, sir. Yes, sir. Jesper Bratt
Yeah.
is on the list.
What does it say
Which
about him?
is not surprising. It just said he's basically hit or miss, because as we saw last year, he is kind of streaky, right? He like went through periods where he was putting up a lot of offensive numbers, then he fades. But I don't know. I mean, it doesn't surprise me to see him on the list, to be honest. But I was kind of, I don't know. It's not too shocking. I mean, I would actually, what Chris said, Dougie Hamilton, I could have saw on the list, and I really like Dougie Hamilton, but I can't. I mean, I always think that Marino doesn't get enough respect in that area. I mean, I think Hamilton sometimes. He definitely puts up points, and
I could see though that Jesper Bratt is a little overrated. I'm not going to fight that one. I'll fight the Marc-Andre Fleury one, but I'm not going to fight the Jesper Bratt one. He has a lot to prove, and if he would have
still has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
Very, very good point.
And if he showed up in the playoffs last year, we wouldn't have this discussion. But this season he's got to do more, and he's got to be more consistent. I mean.
You know what it is? He's got such and you don't make this list unless you have such a high potential.
Right.
And he has a great high potential. Last year, he's meeting his potential in the second round. I think the Devils advance. Or they get really close to it.
Really close. I mean, if all of our guys hit their potential in that second round.
But him especially. Like, if one guy with a great performance, if you go back in time and say, only one guy can I have a great performance, it would be hard to say, wow, my most impact would be if I have Jesper Bratt played at his potential.
You're right.
Because he has that potential to make a huge difference in a series. So I hope he does.
We're gonna do a whole bunch of stuff going. When the season gets closer to what we're expecting this season and stuff. But I do have a question for you guys, and you can just answer it quickly. Who do you think is going to lead the Devils in points this year?
Jack Hughes.
Yeah, Jack Hughes.
I don't think it's going to be Jack.
No, huh?
I think it's going to be Timo Meier.
Okay, I could see a world where that's possible because he scores different ways, and he's going to be playing with a very, creative bunch of guys. He's got time to really, get in there. It's very, very possible.
Yeah.
I can't say that's a bad pick. Still, Hughes almost scored 100 points.
Yeah.
And he missed time, too.
Yeah, well, he doesn't miss that time. He's a 100-point guy, no doubt.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Look, I mean, it's this team is going to live or die by what Jack Hughes does. He's the catalyst for everything. So, who else is on this list?
But by saying, you think Meier's going to score more, you're calling Meier a 100-point guy, almost necessarily when you think about it.
Yeah, I can actually see a world where we have two dudes that get 100 points, and it's Hughes and Meier. I can see a world where that happens. I just think that the Devils, does this worry you at all? Okay, so we came out of the gate last year on fire, and I think we've talked about this. You took a lot of teams. You surprised a lot of teams. I don't think you surprised a lot of teams with. I think the one thing that surprised a lot of these teams was the Devils' speed. I think a lot of teams, when they got in and they played the Devils first or even second, third times, it was how the hell can we manage their fucking speed? They're too fast, and a lot of teams can't skate with us. And they pop out, they have a historic season, and they go to the playoffs, they win a round. Everything you could have wanted for a team finally kind of rebuild is over, and we're finally all clicking. Are you guys worried at all at a setback this year? Or do you guys believe this team, because I will say this, the group of people that were not surprised by the Devils' play last year was the Devils. They were not surprised. I think that they were like the entire time, this is who we are. This is who we could have been last year if we weren't, hammered by injuries and all the other shit. But they believe in themselves, and they prove that they can sustain this type of play all year through to spring and even win a series. But are you at all worried that there could be a setback this year? Because, listen, we talk about it all the time. The Devils never get any respect, and they never got any love, especially from the national media. That doesn't happen anymore. The Devils are the darling pick for most people. Everybody loves the Devils. I think FanDuel had their over-under on points this year at 106. That's fucking nuts to have us up that high. That's a lot of points. I'm just saying, are you guys worried at all that there could be a setback? Or do you think this team is fucking primed and ready to go?
I've thought about this, and I think me and Dan probably talked about this maybe 2 months ago on the show. there is a possibility. What if we come out and we have a shitty season next year? Because first of all, there's a lot of things that go into that. You got to worry about injuries. I mean,
let's take injuries away. Injuries could derail any team, no matter what. So let's just say that we have a relatively healthy team.
I don't know if we're. The thing is that. Do I think we're going to score the same amount of? I think Bobby said that we're going to score more points this year than we did last year. He thought maybe. I don't think that. I'm not sure that's going to happen.
We could have a worse record and be a better team. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that we're built almost too good to have a really bad, season. And I think if we do have some big problems, it's going to be in net most likely. And I would hope, and I do think that it would be addressed pretty damn fast. But I think that we're built pretty damn good, man. If you look at that roster, if you look at those players, and Toffoli, I think is this guy's a 30-goal scorer. You don't even think about him sometimes. What a big addition he is to this lineup now. And like you said, Meyer is on he's a devil now for the next pack of years. Bratt, we don't have a lot of background stories right now. I feel like we're just built really well, and I can't picture us just totally sucking, I mean, I have thought about that, though, because I almost would rather be a little bit more of the underdog than we are, because I keep on hearing everybody. I saw NHL Network tonight. We were number 5 on the prospect pool even. I mean, people are talking about the Devils I haven't heard this kind of link to the Devils the positivity in years, man. It's almost like I wish it would die down a little bit so they could just play hockey, and, the expectation's very high. I mean...
Dan, how about you?
If you take away injuries, and because of course, like you said, that could derail everything, even just a key injury or two. But let's take that off the board for the sake of argument. I think it's more likely than not that this team really can't go into a sustained slump. That they're going to be able to produce, and he'll have a little bit of ebbs and flows, but like a real sustained slump. I don't even see them slumping the way they did last year after their streak. The month of, I think it was November, was pretty rough. Was that November or December now?
December.
It's fading away.
December.
Yeah, December. December was rough for the Devils.
Won like 6-7 games the whole month.
Yeah, it was rough. I don't even know if I see that kind of performance as a likelihood at all. That said, here's the thing. We've got some new players. In particular, our defense is very young. Our defense is very new and changed. We've got a lot of changeover in fewer key spots that make a difference. Is there going to be a little bit of chemistry is going to take its own time to really formulate and be the I don't think individual players are going to do poorly, but can they gel as a team that's going to be serious for the playoffs? That remains to be seen. Do I see them falling apart entirely? No. I mean, I would be so shocked if they're fighting to get into the playoffs at the end of the season. I just don't see that happening. I think they're going to be there. Are they going to be fighting for first again? I think it's very likely. Maybe not. Maybe they're going to be in a solid spot, but it's not first.
I'm very interested to see if we have more spine this year. Are we going to have more? Are we going to be sticking out for our players more this year? Are we going to? Because this is going to be a thing with these guys.
I think the effort was made to get that personnel, so I definitely expect it. But so much of that is the intangibles. You go by numbers and the guy's size alone. That doesn't really do anything for you. So I want to see this team develop that. That's a good point, especially for their playoff success. Yeah. I think even without tough guys, they're going to be able to make the playoffs no problem. But playoff success, that's going to demand that kind of grit. So, I honestly, I'm concerned about can the defense develop, and not even just defense, the team defense. We need to improve some kind of team defense model when it's there. First half of the season, last season, our best defense was score more goals. And we just, it was like, that was the way to do it. But I don't think that's a winning playoff formula. I think when you need to clamp down and be that rock, this team has shown it can do it, but it hasn't done it consistently.
Right.
So that's going to be the difference.
I agree with pretty much everything you guys said. I do not think, and I heard him talking a little bit on XM, one of the shows throughout the course of the week, they do this little bit where they take every team in the NHL and they talk about one thing that's wrong with the team, no matter who it is.
Right.
So when it got to the Devils, I was listening, and it was basically that the guy, I think it was, I don't remember who the radio guy was, but that there is a very good chance they go into the sophomore slump, and that maybe things aren't as, going as smoothly, and how does this team react? Now, I think that this team falling off a cliff, I can't see how that can happen unless there are tons of injuries piled on. But like we said, for the sake of this exercise and discussion, injuries are not an issue. So I think we could put our top 9 up against any other team's top 9, and I think that we are, we're there. Now, talking about team defense and having maybe these younger guys who are in, or just new faces that are in, and getting them into the system, I would be a little bit more worried about that if the Devils didn't play this type of style that they do play. I mean, you said it. It's not so much a team defensive style as much as we just don't give the other team the puck. It's that simple.
Right.
We're not keeping pucks out of our net by being clamped down, team defense and all that stuff. And we have to be sometimes, but that's not how we win, or at least it wasn't last season. It was just, if you don't have the puck, you can't score on us. So we're just going to keep it the whole fucking time. And it was
using our speed and playing puck possession.
And I think that that's going to become I think that the Devils are actually going to be better this year. I'm not saying that they're going to have more points or anything. I'm just saying a better team. Like, you look at a lot of these teams in the Eastern Conference that have a lot of hype around them. And, the Rangers, I'll talk, Pittsburgh, I'm not saying that they have a lot of hype around them, but they're still one of those teams that's there and, constantly on the bubble. Islanders, there's teams in this division, the Metro, and I'm looking and I'm like, they cannot skate with us. They're not going to be able to skate with us. So if you can get that team defense down, Dan, like you said, and that solid goaltending, I think this is going to be an extremely difficult team to beat. One of my concerns is, and I know that I think Dan and I kind of lean a little bit more on this idea more so than Tone and Bob, because you guys absolutely love Lindy Ruff. Lindy Ruff still makes me fucking nervous.
I don't know which way he's going to go this year. I'm overall confident, but with Lindy, I mean, he's so hard to predict. He doesn't have a single philosophy.
But is his mindset like, I want all my players to be able to play with everybody on this team, and that's why I always juggle the lines and I do that. Is that his mindset?
It's a great question. I always wanted to know why the juggling to the extent that you do. Nobody juggles the way Lindy does. Why? What is his theory behind this?
Juggles when there's success. That's the thing that gets me. Like, is it just, I want to be able to, no matter what the situation is on the ice, whether we're on a power play or, we're in a penalty kill for 5 minutes or something, I want whoever is on this bench to be able to play with whoever else is out there. Now, if that's the mindset and that's why he juggles these lines, I don't necessarily agree with it, but at least it's a fucking reason, other than just that he's OCD. But, I just really hope this year that he just calms the hell down a little bit when it comes to this.
He is far more likely to juggle the line if they're a little quiet, but he will do it, like you said, even if they're having pretty decent success.
Just let the top 6 gel a little bit. Let's get some line set. Let people know that when Hughes is out there, Brattenmeyer are out there, and you're going to have to deal with all 3 of them. I just feel like Lindy and his little craziness when it comes to that does make me nervous. That's the only other thing.
We all know I got no problem. And I guess until it's after this year, I'm totally on Team Lindy, but I get it. So you guys want to hear the last guy on this list?
None of us are. Give us the team
and
first.
This is the thing about these. I will say this about these polls. I'm not a big poll guy or this kind of shit, but it's the off.
That's not what I heard.
Sure.
Fucking break. Give us a fucking break. Love it. But
give us the team first.
Maple Leafs.
Ooh, everyone? Is it the entire Maple Leaf team? Because it should be.
This guy has 299 goals in his career.
Austin Matthews.
3 assists and 542 points. Austin Matthews, 7 years, 25 years old.
Kind of joking, you can't really put a guy like that on a list like this. I mean, if the list is guys who should have won more in their career to date, yeah, I get that. He deserves to be on that list. And there's a whole bunch of reasons he hasn't, but really none of them is his play.
Yeah,
is he really that? Is he the problem here?
I don't know. No, and that's what I don't get. If you're going to put Austin Matthews on the list, what are you going to put Connor McDavid on the list?
I think they have to be on that same list.
Right.
If this is where you're going with one, you're going to have to treat the other that way. They're both the most essential and talented guy on their team.
I'm sure any team would take him.
Matthew Tkachuk, he hasn't won a cup yet, so he's overrated.
Jack Hughes, put Jack Hughes on there.
Anybody who can score 100 points or at one point in their time in their career scored 60 fucking goals like Austin Matthews has in the fucking NHL. Is that overrated?
No, Toronto as an organization is overrated because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
I actually thought this was the worst one. I thought this was the worst ones. Even Fleury, I'm like, what the fuck is that? But then again, I'm saying, okay, maybe they're talking about the respect level for Fleury in 2023. I don't know. But but this one is the one that just kind of discredits a lot of it for me.
Yeah, I think he's kind of reaching on there. I don't like it. Before we get into something else, I do want to give a shout out to Washington Commander fans throughout the world. Any crossing of Washington Commander fans to the Uncle Pucker Devil podcast. I just have to say that now that you're owned by Josh Harris, who owns the Devils, just a little message to Washington Commander fans who have been through hell with
now.
Dan
What is this?
Snyder.
Pickleball? What is this?
Football.
Oh, the Commanders is the new
old,
team for the
old
Washington
Redskins.
football team. Right, the Skins.
So
Chris,
Josh,
I don't know if you remember this, but I have a tie to this all. My father, my dad worked for Jack Ken Cook. He worked for the Skins back in the day. He was an assistant for many years.
Very cool.
Yeah. So I actually remember when that team came to Tampa, when they had was it Trent Green as the quarterback. Sure. My dad, I was a guest to the team, got to meet all the players, the Redskin team. But yeah, he worked for them for a few years actually.
Now,
that's cool.
Dan Snyder was by far the worst fucking owner in any sport ever. I mean, the man was a scumbag, and the NFL is so much better off now that he's gone. But this franchise has been through hell as far as ownership goes for the last 20 years. So, two Commander fans whose name is going to be changed at some point again, but who knows what it is.
Is that a foregone thing?
Josh Harris has said that he does plan on changing the name again.
I'm in favor of that because I'm not digging the Commanders.
Me neither. Now, to the Redskin faithful, or Commander faithful, you finally have an owner that gives a shit. This guy is a good owner. He's going to put the right people in place. He's going to give you guys a chance to actually compete for a Lombardi. I have to say that I don't know if the Redskins could have been any better off with whoever else was out there. I saw a couple of these people that were interested in buying it, but Josh Harris getting that, I feel like I just got to tell Commander fans that, we were in hell for a decade, all right? And then now that he has put the right people in place, and we are now seeing the dividends from all those moves. So I think Commanders fans have a lot to look forward to with Josh Harris now owning it. That's all.
Who else is involved with that now? Isn't Magic Johnson's involved with that somehow?
With
that ownership?
I don't think so.
Yeah, with the Commanders, I believe. Yeah, I have to Google that.
He's going to play. He's going to come out of retirement from basketball and play.
No, I believe he has some kind of tie to the ownership. I got to check that, though. Could be
Vincent Parisi for Pucks and Pitchforks wrote an article. It's
any relation?
I don't think so. 3 insane trade packages for Connor Hellebuck.
Ooh, okay.
So he writes, the Devils were one of the best teams in the NHL last season. Of course, they are expected to be once again. One thing that has been a discussion this summer has been goaltending. The Devils used Vanacek, Blackwood, and Schmid last year. Blackwood's now a Shark. Vanacek and Schmid remain. They're both great during the regular season. Schmid was outstanding against the Rangers in the playoffs. However, Vanacek struggled in the playoffs, and Schmid fell off against the Carolina Hurricanes. A lot of people wonder if they're going to make an upgrade. Popular name, Connor Hellebuck. He's been assumed to be on the trade block, and if the Devils could add the elite goalie to the mix, they should do it right away. And he writes, here's trade 1. The Devils get Connor Hellebuck, and the Winnipeg Jets get Alexander Holtz, Nolan Foote, and Vitek Vanacek. I think Bobby would cry, right, if that trade was made. I think Bobby would literally first you took Graves and now you're taking away Foote and Holtz. I don't think he can handle it.
Bob's very big on both those guys, and I hope at least one of them come through for him because he's been on the Holtz train for a couple of years now.
Yeah. Now he writes here.
And Foote, he's pretty excited about this.
I really like Foote. I'm not so sure where I stand with Alex Holtz, but
Well, what do you think? Do you do this trade?
Well, let's see what he writes. He writes, the Devils have a lot of things they can offer to Winnipeg Jets in exchange for Hellebuck. An elite goalie gives you a chance to win every night. The fact that the Devils can score tons of goals makes adding a goalie like that much more exciting. He would change everything for this team. Holtz is a very nice prospect that the Devils haven't found a way to get in the lineup yet. He might have a much easier time developing in the NHL with the Jets as opposed to the Devils. Nolan Foote's another prospect that is seen as a goal scorer with a great shot. He'd love to get a full-time NHL job. That may be possible in New Jersey, but it's even more likely in Winnipeg. And then he says Vanacek's also included in trade basically because, you need to get rid of a goalie and make room for one. Do I do this trade? It kind of depends. Like, is this for... it doesn't say, so I'm going to assume...
I feel like this might be the closest to what I would do. What would you do?
Well... I don't know if I would be okay with giving away Nolan Foote and Alex Holtz just to get Connor Hellebuck for this year. Like, if we were just renting
right,
him,
what are the terms?
I would I would be okay with it, but losing Foote would bother me. I think that could be.
But if it was like a sign and trade for like 5 years, you might do it.
And it was then what about you, Tone? What do you think of that one?
I wouldn't do it, actually. Like you said, I think giving up Foote I don't like, and plus. I'm going to say it again. I'm not sold that Vanacek is not, going to really step it up this year. I thought he had a great regular season last year, like everybody else did, and I'm not thinking that. I even picked him for my draft because I do have confidence in the guy.
Let me play devil's advocate real quick, okay? This team is ready to pop and really make a play for the Stanley Cup, or at least that's what everybody who has a fucking brain seems to think. If we have a 110-point season. Win the Metropolitan Division, go into the playoffs against, a wild card team, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, I don't know, Ottawa, Bruins, and we make it, 6-7 games, get out of the first round. Second round, we got Rangers, Carolina, and we get bounced again. And part of it, if not a lot of it, is Vanacek. Just our goaltending isn't there. He falls apart again. Now we are back a year from now with basically a wasted season going, what are we going to do about goaltending? Now, I'm just asking you, are you willing to say, let's roll the dice with Vanacek one more year, and if shit blows up in the playoffs, then we'll worry about goaltending next year? Or do you get the guy that is going to be good for the playoffs for this team in a guy like Hellebuck? I'm just asking.
I still don't make the move. I just think the thing is with Holtz, and I'm not sold on Holtz either. Like I know Bobby's more of a Holtz guy, but who knows? This guy does have a lot of skill. His skating, I think, is probably his biggest problem. I just, Foote. I like Foote too, so I just don't. I'm gonna say no, and it's a hard no because I do know what you're saying, and. And I'm hoping that Schmid's going to be the guy too. So I'm hoping that if Vanacek does have some issues, we got Schmid to come up there and pull the.
I don't like it, but I pulled the trigger on that one. What about you, Dan?
I'm kind of 50-50 on it. The details could sway me either way. The counterpoint to what you're saying about did we get somebody we know is the playoff goalie is I will tell you that I think Hellebuck probably is the one I would pick when all other things are equal. Right? If I could just swap those two guys out today with no damage done to my team otherwise, I would do it. I'm not saying he's not on paper and so far performance-wise better than Vanacek. He is. But he's a far cry from the proven playoff savior. I mean, he has not really done that. And so, that's... But not. Are we talking about getting Vasilevsky a couple of years ago? No, we're not. It's different.
But I know it's different, but at the same time, Connor Hellebuck has been finalist for Vezina pretty much every year playing on the Winnipeg Jets. This is not
I think he's better.
that great of a team.
Better.
This is a team that just squeaks into the playoffs, and
but there's a long history
deep.
of goalies shining on bad teams. Ask Curtis Joseph about that.
Now,
and so that. The whole goal is, and your premise, I totally understand it. Is we don't want to get to the playoffs and go, damn it, we should have done something about goaltending.
Right.
I am with you 100%. I get it. But before you make a move like that, especially considering how there was more than just goaltending at fault last year, I would like to know that we are going for the guy who is the proven playoff thing. If I'm going to give up, two hot prospects like that. That being said, like I said, I'm 50-50 on this, and I have a feeling of the other two deals that you got in that, this is probably the most palatable to me.
I see Connor Hellebuck coming to the Devils the same way that Detroit saw Dominic Hasek coming from Buffalo. And I really believe that, and I can put they're very, very.
That's a
similar.
nice. That's a nice analogy because Hasek had not won anything to that point. So just like Hellebuck has not won anything,
and everybody said, "Well, what are you giving up for the guy? He hasn't won yet. He's he flashes and he's great, but this can he win you the big game?" And then once he got on a real team, like a fucking real team, they just won cups. And
I hear you. I mean, that you make a very convincing argument there. I get it. You might tip me over from that 50-50.
Well, the first trade I would do. This one, I would have a little pause. So the Devils get Connor Hellebuck. The Jets get Akira Schmid, Chase Stillman, and Lenny Hamilton, who is our second-round pick that we got this year in the draft. Who,
so
from
Schmid's the big part of that.
The little bit that I saw on film of Hamilton, if we've been saying it right, he's very Sergei Brylin-ish. He reminds me a lot of Brylin. He's very serviceable, not the best skater, but he has good shot, and he's a good tough. Like he'll do anything. He can play anywhere. I kind of liked him, but this one, I would walk away from the second round pick. I would walk away from Chase Stillman. I'm not ready to walk away from Akira Schmid. Now you put Vanacek and Stillman and Ham in Hand on there, I maybe go with it. But I don't like Akira Schmid because I do like Akira Schmid. And I think Akira Schmid is going to be a big part of this team for the future. So that one, I say, I would say no, but you could probably talk me into it if I really had to. But, what do you guys think?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I wouldn't. No, I like Stillman actually. Also, I think he's another player who's going to be involved with our team. I wouldn't do it. I don't want to get rid of Schmid. Like I said, I would not do that trade either.
Dan?
Yeah. I don't like moving Schmid. And here's the theory too. Not only do I think like Schmid might have the bigger career ahead of him, but if you're saying the Devils had goaltending issues last year, the one with the fewest issues was Schmid. Now, it's kind of unfair because he also played far fewer games. But, percentage-wise, his game was, looking better, and he's younger. So you don't, make a move where you still have a goaltending problem afterwards.
Right.
You're going to have a future goaltending problem. Hellebuck's not, going to play forever.
Now, that's true. That's why I think if you're going to move a goalie, you move Vanacek. The third trade, the Devils get Connor Hellebuck, and the Jets get next season's 2024 first-round pick, a future fourth round pick, Seamus Casey, and Cam Squires. Now, he writes, there's a great possibility that the Jets want draft selections to be included in the trade for Hellebuck. Nobody would question that. The Devils could include lower-ranked prospects and include the 24 first-round pick. Obviously, if they traded that for Hellebuck, they'd be hoping it becomes pick 32. Now, he doesn't write this, but I have to say something. I'm almost positive that next year's our first-round pick next year is a conditional pick that San Jose can get if
Timo Meier.
If Timo Meier we'll make it to the finals. I don't know what it is, but something come playoff time. If we meet that pick is gone. So this whole trade thing is kind of, you really can't move that pick because it might not be ours. It might be the Sharks.
No, you wouldn't be allowed to use that as a chip.
Now he says the Devils could include lower-ranked prospects. It includes a 24 first-round pick. Obviously, if they traded that for Hellebuck, they'd be hoping it becomes pick 32. The fourth-round pick would be an added selection to push Winnipeg to make such a trade. Seamus Casey, very good young defenseman. He played last season with Luke Hughes at the University of Michigan. Clearly focused his game on his skill, while Luke Hughes worked on his two-way game. Casey will be doing what Luke did last year, so he's still in college this year. Cam Squires was drafted in the fourth round of last year's draft. and made an impression at the Prospect Showcase a few weeks ago. It should be fun to see his development over the next few years. So basically that's it. So those 3 dudes, the draft picks, and those 2 players, I like the trade. I would be okay with it. I'm fine with giving up first round picks if you're getting them you're getting somebody like Connor Hellebuck. This team is built already. I think you have to use your first and your draft capital exactly as capital to make your team better. So I'm okay with that one, but I think that first round pick gets fucked up if we move far in the playoffs. But what do you guys think of that one? Take the 24th first round, next year's first round pick away. Let's say it's ours. And
that's the fly in the ointment. That's not going to work out.
But let's say it's not. Do you do that?
I mean, I get it because we, like you said, the team is kind of already laid out. All right, we've got a more than just a core. We've got a core plus quite a bit. A few players that are going to play more than 10 years from now.
Yeah.
And this team can stay together for that long and hopefully win some cups in there. So I'm okay with giving the picks to secure Hellebuck. I think we go back to what you were talking about earlier, which is we're doing all this for a rental. I don't like it. I don't like the rental. We got to find some way to get reasonable assurance that this is going to be a longer term thing where we get Hellebuck for at least 3 years, hopefully 5 years, something like that, because why would you do that for 1 year? I feel like that 1 year, I don't know if it's worth it. I really don't. When you're sitting at the playoff run and you realize you have goaltending problems, it becomes, oh no, it was worth it. But I don't really see us there. I don't really see us as in that position where we're going to really regret it. So I don't know. I would do it, but only if we can actually swing it without hurting the team.
Tone?
Yeah, and the capital thing, I definitely agree with Chris with the capital thing. You're going to have to, first of all, nothing's for free, so you're going to have to give up some stuff. I don't like any of them, really, any of the moves. This would be the one I would be in favor of the most because I feel like we're talking about
four guys you've never seen play. It's
exactly.
2 draft picks and 2 players that never played.
Yeah. So our prospect pool is deep, as we said, and we're built for the next, I guess, 7 to 8 years, you would say, right? I just know that I can't wait till something gets done one way or the other because aren't you guys getting tired of hearing about this guy, about this fucking goaltending move?
I am getting a little. I am tired of hearing it. It is the one big, open kind of what's going on with New Jersey and goaltending. Again, if we roll into this season with the 2 dudes that we have, I'm okay with it. But I do think that an upgrade at goal is exactly what this team needs to really make it a team nobody wants to fucking play. And I just think that a guy like Hellebuck, personally, I'm really hoping that Swayman and Boston can't come to any kind of agreement tomorrow at arbitration and Swayman can walk away and we can maybe pick him up.
I thought of you right away when I saw that yesterday on the news. I was like,
yeah.
I'm sure they're gonna sign him. They're gonna figure something out. I'm sure of it. I can't see Boston has lost so much this year. Are they really gonna let Jeremy Swayman?
But you're the first dude I heard really talking about. I gotta say, I mean, you're the first dude I heard talking about Swayman to the Devils the last couple of weeks. I will give you that. I mean, and now it kind of caught my attention a little bit. Now when I see his name, I'm like, huh.
I think a 24-year-old guy that good. I mean, I just think he's a fantastic goalie, and I would take him over Linus Ullmark. I think Boston feels the same way though, so I do think, but they are far away on money. Yeah, and I mean, I think there's like a $3 million difference with what Swayman wants and what Boston's offering, so it's going to be interesting.
I mean, what surprises you now in the goaltending world? Look at how many, we're talking about, you win a cup, you get rid of the guy the next year. You ship him off.
Yeah.
You never saw this 15 years ago or 10 years ago even. I mean,
it's the great. We talk about it with the NFL running backs. It's the same thing with these NHL goalies. It's the great devaluation. It's no longer we need one great guy to just run. It's we need 2 serviceable dudes and we're going to be okay. There's not many guys that kind of have that number one behind them that they're, it's just Sturkin and Vasilevsky, Sorokin, Hellebuck. Those are guys that, but everyone else has just 2 pretty much good goalies. And I just think this Devils would be fucking almost unbeatable with Connor Hellebuck in goal. Or Jeremy Swayman. And hopefully in a year or two, Akira Schmidt. That's what I'm hoping.
And hopefully next year we're saying, God damn, I'm glad they didn't make a fucking move at the, last year. Hopefully our guys are standing on their head and we're having, but we're not going to find out till the playoffs. Last year we had much success until.
I don't think it's going to go that far. I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I do think that Tom Fitzgerald has a goalie move up his sleeve before the season starts. I really do.
Well, before the season, so you're not even talking trade deadline. You're saying,
and I don't think we are going to be players really that much at the trade deadline either. I mean, I think he went hard over Timo Meier because he wanted Timo Meier on this team long term, and he went hard at that trade deadline. And lucky enough, he was able to, basically called his shot and got him. But I think that he wants this team going into October and game one to be set. And I think he'll make a move for a goalie.
I'm hoping if we pick up any right before the trade deadline, it's like a Bertuzzi kind of player. That'll be, something like that. That would be something to plug in there.
Tone, with the guys that we picked up already, especially on the bottom part, the bottom 6 guys, the last few 2 or 3 dudes that we signed, I don't know if we really need that right now. I think we kind of have it.
I kind of still want. I know. I'm not saying we don't. I just kind of just like a Domi or Stillman kind of guy. I would have liked a Domi or would have been that kind of player. Bertuzzi, yeah. I mean, so I
get it. I mean, they're elites at that. But Chris is right. We definitely have improved in terms of size and grit throughout the team. So it remains to be seen if we really need to go after a guy like that. Maybe we will at the trade deadline.
I mean,
you could be right.
If they can put it together where they have a guy in the net like we talked about, a Hellebuck or a Swayman or somebody of that nature, and if they can play that physical style when they need to, and then still do everything offensively that they did last year, this is going to be a fucking really good team.
Yes.
They're going to be
scary good to watch.
Yep, they really are. So, I mean, and there is another thing other than I know goaltend, like Lindy, I said, kind of, does make me a little worried. But there is one thing that actually worries me a lot more this year, and that's the whole situation that we discussed a few weeks ago with the Michael McLeod situation.
Like some kind of dark cloud over the team,
and,
so to speak.
If things come out and it's bad, how's it going to affect this team and its psyche? That worries me a little bit, but, that's for a different conversation. I guess we shouldn't even dive down that road a little bit until we know what's going on, but that is something that in the back of my head kind of worries me a little bit.
I mean, sports has taught us that there's a million ways for your team to get sidetracked. It's possible that could be one of the ways for the Devils. There could be other things going on that you just can't foresee, but it seems so unlikely, doesn't it? It seems like this team's going to keep rolling no matter what. Even with the McLeod situation, they made not only one but like 2 moves following that kind of thing.
Can fix some of that area. So.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it sure looks like on paper that it kind of address that situation. He's a really tough guy to replace on any team, but it looks like the Devils done their best to be ready in case that comes to pass. Whether they did that on purpose or not, I don't know.
Do you guys know how many goals Michael McLeod scored in the last 2 years?
I don't know. I know he won a lot more face-offs than goals scored, but yeah, give it to me.
Then take a guess. Just think for a second. Last 2 seasons. Don't look, Tone. I know you're going to say
40 something.
In the last 2 years, you're going 40.
Yeah, isn't he like a 20 goals?
I'm going to go.
What are you going, Tony?
You know what? I'm actually going to go lower than. I'm going to go 27.
27 goals.
Yeah.
12.
Whoa!
Because think about it,
I thought he was a 20-goal scorer. He's not a 20-goal scorer.
8 goals last year and 4 goals the year before. He's scored 12.
In my mind, I guess he's so important because of all the face-offs he wins, which is important. But you're right, his goal scoring is nowhere near where I put it.
Nowhere near. 12 goals in 2 years. His face-offs are great, and he had a very good playoff. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't surprise me when you say that, though, because, I remember... I want to say it was 2 seasons ago when everyone was kind of hoping he would actually score because he was one of those dudes who were missing the net constantly. And there was a certain period there where you actually...
That's true.
I think he was getting empty netted. Actually, I believe, if my memory is... Which I doubt it's this good, but I think Nico hooked him up for an empty netter that year to get him on the scoreboard.
You really have a great memory because you're exactly right. It was... And they threw him the puck, and it was an empty netter, and they give him that goal, and it was a little tap in, and that you're 100% right. I fucking remember
drugs
that.
aren't that bad. See, it's crap.
Is anything else that you boys want to dive into tonight?
So, Magic Johnson is part of the ownership. I had to look it up.
Of the Commanders?
Yes, he is part of the ownership of the Commanders with Josh Harris. But I wanted to bring up. We were talking about. I think it was last show, and this is we talked a lot about hockey tonight. I know we got to get out of here, but it was a girl that I didn't mention. And the reason I'm mentioning her is actually for a
Are you talking about first crushes, or is that where we're going back?
Christina Applegate, guys. I was watching this thing about her right now.
I had no idea that's where we're going.
I know. It took me a second. So, wait.
It goes way beyond this, though. I thought about her after I listened to that. I checked out
time out.
Slow down.
Tony,
tell us all of
slow down.
Let's tell everybody what we were talking about last time. So we were I don't even know how we got there, Chris. You might remember.
I just
asked. We were talking about
first
guys of a certain age. What's your celebrity crush?
When you were kids.
And mine, I think, of course, was Angela Lansbury. But you guys said a couple of the more ordinary picks.
You had
B. Arthur. Yeah, sure. Ray Perlman. The list goes on. Yeah. But, Tony, you came back with one that we didn't discuss. Christina Applegate of Married with Children fame. Like, that's the era you're probably thinking about it, right? And
then, she retired from acting now, and I was really bummed out to see this.
She's sick.
She's sick, and it's just,
I know she was a breast cancer survivor at one point.
Now she has something still else dealing with that. With her. I don't know exactly what it is, but
she has the MS now, right?
MS, yeah.
Yeah, she has now. It's just really, I thought about it, and I was like, and first of all, she was funny. I saw her. She was in the National Lampoon's movie a couple years ago, and she did really good in that. I saw a picture of her.
Did you ever see the movie The Big Hit?
I did not.
The Big Hit is a fantastic movie. It's Mark Wahlberg, Christina Applegate, I think Lou Diamond Phillips is in it, a bunch of other people. But it's fucking great movie. But check it out. If you like Christina Applegate, she looks great in it, Tony.
Well, for me, my favorite Christina Applegate work is the Anchorman movie. So,
yes.
She's great with that.
That's right.
I saw a picture of her and Katie Segal, I think it was this year. And, and I didn't even know. Did you know that the Doublemint twins are Katie Segal's sisters?
I did not.
You know what?
They were also in Greece.
No idea.
Yeah, they were also in Greece. So I didn't know that either, but...
I did, yeah. My big happy news this last couple of weeks when I found out that Futurama has a new season out on Hulu.
Yes!
So, yeah. I watched...
That's coming back. I watched nice. I always enjoyed Futurama.
I love Futurama. And I watched the first episode, so I got to go back and check out. I think they're only putting them out like once a week, which annoys the shit out of me. Put it all out and let us fucking watch them, please. This isn't...
I thought that model was like done of once in a week, but there's a few shows that do that to you. The Disney shows, right?
They all do
some of the Star Wars ones.
Yep.
I think some of the HBO shows do that still.
Which
we watched what we like to call the Elf show, whatever the hell that was.
What is that?
The Tolkien thing.
Oh, the Hobbit?
Amazon. No, they made a series about it's like The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings.
Oh, that's the one on Amazon. Yes. Yeah.
And that was like once a week, But yeah, so I guess they're still doing that. So it's annoying.
Tony, you were big on Christina Applegate, huh?
Yeah, it wasn't even. Yeah, I definitely. And I thought about. I was bummed when I was reading that, man. And I was like, you know what? We're definitely getting old, boys, right? Everybody's like Sinead O'Connor now. I thought you, Dan Morrissey, stuck up for Sinead. He was totally right. He said,
Let
all
me
you
tell
people
you,
fucking.
He wrote. Did you read what Morrissey wrote? Dan?
Excellent.
I did not. I didn't hear any of this. Oh, I know about Sinead O'Connor, but. I mean,
Morrissey
I don't know.
wrote this big post, basically just calling everybody who's out now, calling her a legend and an icon, and he's basically like, where the fuck were you when, she didn't have a record contract and she was going through her low points? No, you made fun of her, you called her fat, you shamed her, you did this and you did that. Like, she doesn't fucking need your bullshit now. Like, where were you when she fucking needed you? It was basically the gist of it.
I get it.
And he wrote it much better than I'm saying it, but it was pretty good.
Pretty damn accurate, though, I think.
I thought so too. Dead on.
Yeah. I did read one thing about Sinead O'Connor that I had no idea. She had like some kind of dust up with Prince.
Really?
Did you hear about this? Yeah, it was wild. I mean, apparently he was not happy with her doing that, that song because they had that. I guess it was it's a Prince song, right?
Yeah, nothing compares to you. Yeah.
So I don't know. Was that whatever it was? I was like, I had no idea they even crossed paths. But
well, hopefully they can work it all out in music heaven, and they can bury the hatchet.
That's what I'm wondering.
Did you guys hear Chris Cornell's version of that? Nothing compares to you.
No.
Nope, I've
Man,
never heard
definitely
that.
look it up. Definitely worth the
Maybe
time.
don't
to
sing
Well, they're
that.
gonna have a three-way
Yeah,
fight up
maybe
there.
don't sing that
you know?
song. You know?
Yeah, that's a. Yeah.
I tell you, when we used to, when I was like 12 years old, and we would always be out skating and shit. Like we had, our my buddy John had his boom box, with the tapes, and there was like maybe 3 or 4 tapes that were constantly in rotation. And the Lion and the Cobra, Sinead O'Connor, was always one of them. What'd you say?
Wham.
Well, dude, I love Wham. But no, the Lion and the Cobra was in there, and I mean, I just listening to that album even now just brings me back to that time and those days, and I love that album. She was a fantastic singer, and now it's like she's up there on Saturday Night Live. She ripped the picture of the Pope, and she got so much blowback. And how's that looking now? Her whole thing was, hey, the church is okay with all these pedophiles and all the other shit. Yeah, no, we weren't ready to hear that.
How dare you? Those are awful lies.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, they're not.
Yeah, and
no,
she was dead.
No, they're not.
So,
Yes,
and then she lost her
she-
son a year and a half ago. That's terrible. Like, she went through a
I had
rough
no
fucking
idea.
go of it, man.
She was definitely good. Her people like that and Tracy Chapman and them. They're just some. I just feel like maybe I'm getting old. I can't find all these artists like that anymore. Like, but Sinead O'Connor did.
Are you telling me you're not digging Olivia Rodrigo?
No, right now that's my daughter's listening to Taylor Swift. So that's
Taylor Swift? Yeah, there you go.
So-
That's
These
the
are
call.
modern day legends that you just can't relate to because you're older, just like me. I can't relate to them either.
I was watching.
I try.
Cyndi Lauper, though. Cyndi Lauper, she's into, which is cool because I'm, Cyndi Lauper's.
Cyndi Lauper might be one
Cyndi
of the
Lauper.
fucking coolest people ever.
Have you guys ever heard Cyndi Lauper do a Christmas song along with the Hives?
No.
No.
It's called The Christmas Duel, and it is the best song. It's my new favorite Christmas song. As of like a year or two ago, I heard it.
Knocked off
It's-
Little Drummer Boy, huh?
It sure did. It's great. It's so funny. I don't even know if we could play it on this show, language-wise, but it's pretty good.
I'm going to
And Cyndi
definitely check
Lauper's
it
just
out.
great
The
in it.
Hives and
Please
Cyndi
do.
Lauper. I will. I definitely.
Yeah, it's a Christmas Duel.
Okay.
Duel.
And on that note, I think we're going to wrap it up for the evening. So, guys, the listeners, thank you guys so much for checking us out. You want to drop us a line? Like we said before, we really want to start getting, when the season starts, one day a week for our shows where we do some fan feedback and we, read your emails, answer some questions, tell us what you think about the team, about hockey in general, the NHL, us. You want to write an email and say you guys fucking suck. We're cool with that. We're big boys. Check us out anywhere you can get podcasts. Also, we have the YouTube channel up, so please go subscribe. Give us a 5-star review. Give us a nice rating. It goes a very long way to help us promote this podcast. Where we're just looking to build a nice community of Devil fans where no matter what you fucking believe, no matter what political side you're on, no matter any of that, we always have the New Jersey Devils in common and hockey in general. You come here, we bullshit, we talk, we have some fun. So thank you guys so much for checking us out. Bobby will be back next week from his trip from Colorado, who is my pick, just saying, to win the Western Conference next year. But we'll talk about that later.
He's at the cuckold convention.
What's that?
Bobby's at that cuckold convention, isn't he?
Is it a cuckold convention? Yeah, he's definitely there then. For Tony and Dan, I'm Chris. We are the Uncle Puckers. Thank you guys so much for checking us out, and we'll see you when we see you.
What the fuck is that?
Peace.
Will Bobby listen to the end?
He won't listen if he's not on
It's
it.
over.
So